Okay, spending while broke, the Black Friday and Cyber Monday debt trap. Now we're going to get into this one, but before we do, if you find my content valuable, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. All right, let's get into this one. Spending while broke, the Black Friday and Cyber Monday debt trap. Well, as I think about this one, we just had Black Friday and Cyber Monday. What we spent on Black Friday and Cyber Monday is incredible. I mean, it's unbelievable, actually. Let me just go over some of the stats here, okay? For Black Friday, we spent $11.8 billion, 9.1% increase over last year. All right, and on Cyber Monday, $14.2 billion, a 7.1% increase over last year. What I don't understand is, as I talk to people, as I read things, and I also watch videos on YouTube online, what I'm seeing is that people are struggling. What I see on these videos are people that are having a hard time with their next meal. They're having a hard time paying for the shelter that they have, their home or their rent. Or let's say that they're a homeowner. Their taxes and insurance are going up. There's areas here in the United States where insurance companies are actually pulling out, and the insurance companies that remain in those areas are shooting their prices for their insurance way up, and Americans are dealing with that. You also just have a low consumer sentiment. People are going to the grocery store and they're seeing that the prices are higher and that they're having a hard time and their budget is getting stretched super thin. They can barely make it. Yet, we've decided to go ahead and spend extra money on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Now, I'm sure some of this spending is the 1%, people who are wealthy. But there's a significant percentage of people who are going through all of the struggles that I just explained, yet they're still going out there and spending money on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. It's crazy. But that is what is happening. And there's a significant percentage of these people who are going through those struggles, who are actually using financing. In fact, there's a statistic that 2/3 of shoppers, 64%, planned before Black Friday and Cyber Monday to use financing options to stretch their budgets enough to be able to buy whatever they wanted out there. Think about that. These are not good financial decisions. Another deal here, how I know that this actually happened is there's another statistic that over $1 billion of online sales, let me say that again, over $1 billion of online sales were done utilizing buy now, pay later. $1 billion was spent using buy now, pay later during this Black Friday, Cyber Monday stint. I watch Jaspreet Singh. He has the Minority Mindset channel on YouTube. He calls buy now, pay later, broke now, broke later. I love that. I love it because people who are doing that often are broke right now, okay? And they're still facing all of these financial challenges that we've been talking about, so they're broke later. And they're putting themselves, like I said, in this financial trap in order to buy things because, one, we're being advertised to all the time. Anytime you open a window online, you're probably being advertised to in one way or another. So it's enticing you to buy. But there's also the pressure of the season and the pressure of what you're being advertised to and, giving gifts and all of these different things. Those pressures are causing people to cave in and to buy. I often think about how advertising works, and I think about furniture stores. I know here, and I grew up in St. Louis, and when I would watch TV in St. Louis, furniture stores would always have some sort of big sale, and you would have the furniture salesmen out there, and they're very animated, and whatever holiday it is, if it's a 4th of July, Veterans Day, if it's President's Day, and now during the holidays, they're always having these really exciting commercials about coming out and buying for that particular sale on that particular holiday. And so there's all of these different businesses and things vying for your attention to get you to separate from the dollars in your wallet. And it works. People are doing it. People are going out and spending even though they're broke. This is alarming. This is very, very bad. Like I said, so many people are facing all of these challenges out in the marketplace, and they're still out there spending. You have to have a shift if you're going to be successful with your personal finances. You can't be pulled in by either pressure or guilt even. Let me digress a little bit to talk about the guilt factor. This is something that people sometimes don't think about as you start to get control of your finances. Often on this channel, I talk about getting an emergency fund, $2,000 to start out, and then getting rid of consumer debts and things like that, like credit cards, and then getting a fully funded emergency fund of at least 3 months, okay? Often this can be in the $10,000 range. Well, if you're someone who listens to these videos and you actually take action and get things done and actually get to that emergency fund, let's say it's $10,000 for the 3-month emergency fund. And let's say that your broke cousin, Tim, I'm going to use my own name, can't make his car payment. Let's say that Tim has a brand new BMW and he has a $900 a month car payment, and he comes to you and says, hey, can you help me? I'm afraid that my car is going to be repossessed if I don't make this $900 car payment. Can you help me out with $900? Well, if you saved $10,000, and let's digress a little bit to think about what you may have gone through to get to that $10,000. You may have sold some things. You may have canceled some streaming services. You may have taken on a side hustle or something like that to accumulate all of this. Yet sometimes guilt can come in and hit you. And you say, here's Tim. He can't make his $900 car payment, and I've got $10,000 in something like a high yield savings account. Wouldn't it be stingy of me not to help out Tim with that $900 payment? Now, some of you may not have that distorted thinking and might think, I went through what I needed to put aside that $10,000, and you won't be tripped by guilt in order to let go of your money. But there are others who this guilt does come in. And the remedy for that, and the remedy for overspending on things like Cyber Monday and Black Friday, is to understand that these steps in your financial journey are not optional. They're necessities. You actually need to have that emergency fund. You need to eliminate that debt. It is absolutely necessary. It's a mind shift that you have to go through. But this mind shift is imperative. It is not even, like I said, optional. It is a necessity. It's a necessity, rather. You have to take it that seriously. Looking at that $10,000 3-month emergency fund, things can happen. In fact, statistics say about every 10 years, you're going to have a major emergency hit of some sort. For me, in 2019, we had a flood at our home, which required that emergency fund to stay afloat in that situation, because we had to pay contractors right away. Yes, we had flood insurance, and that flood insurance kicked in, but we needed to write big checks right away to have the contractors take care of things. Something like that is going to happen, okay? You look out at the economy now, there's a lot of layoffs going on. A lot of companies are laying people off. What if you are laid off and you do not have that emergency fund in place? So the emergency fund is foundational. It is a necessity. It is not something that's just optional that you have now and just let go of later. You want to put it in place and leave it in place. It is a necessary brick in the foundation of your finances, okay? You want to start to think about these things that way. You don't want to just kind of willy-nilly, pull from that emergency fund. You want to build these steps up, and then you want to keep them there because it is a necessity for you to be able to weather any financial storms, okay? Just remember that, okay? Do not allow yourself to be either coaxed by pressure, coaxed by advertising, or coaxed by your own feelings of guilt. Like in that situation with Tim that has a $900 car payment that you feel like you need to pay just because you have the money sitting there in that high yield savings account. Think about that savings like you would think about having the resources that you need to eat, or having the resources that you need to make sure that there is shelter over your head, okay? This is very important, but it's very, very easy to kind of lose perspective with these things. Also, I'll tell you just a little bit about retirement, or I like to call it the transition, where you're able to decide whether you work or not. As you get older, your body may not be able to handle the work that you're doing right now. So it's also a necessity that you start to at least think about and start to lay down action steps to take care of your older self. That self that may need to retire due to physical condition, or maybe you just need a break from work, a mental break, or it's just something that you want to do. You don't want to work anymore. You want to concentrate on other things. These are necessities. It's not optional. It's a serious thing that you need to tie down so that you are able to face financial challenges and also have the freedom and flexibility to decide whether you want to work or not, or whether you want to pursue different things in life, okay? I hope this is something that you really reflect on and that you really take action steps on, okay? Because when you are broke, you don't want your resources to be taken. You don't want to just take the little that you have and throw it away. I'll give one more example here. Sometimes I watch movies that I'm thinking about a specific movie where a plane actually had to crash land, and there's people on this plane, and the great pilot actually lands that plane safely. And one of the first things that they did in that movie, once they gathered everybody up outside, and it was in this tropical area, and they were basically out there in no man's land. One of the first things that the pilot did and the folks there did was they got together all of their food and drinks and everything, and they started to ration that so that it would last long enough for them to get out of that situation. That's the same thing that you want to do with your finances. You want to make sure that the resources that you have, that you wisely ration them, that you do that dreaded word budget, and that you start to make a plan to actually get out of the situation that you're in. Just like in that plane wreck, they started to ration their food and drink, and they also started to look for ways that they could get out of that situation and be rescued. You want to do the same thing in your finances. I really hope this one helps. Don't get trapped into spending money that you don't need to spend on stuff that's not even going to satisfy you long term anyway, and put you in a position to where your whole financial situation could collapse when challenges come along. Again, if you find my content valuable, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Thanks again for listening.